Welcome back to the Common Gourmet. So, today's episode is, I hope, the beginning of an ongoing series called Your Basic. Today's is going to be your basic roast chicken. Now, much as I enjoy making new and inventive things, I think everybody does to a certain degree, there's also a certain amount of fall behind, I think, in today's cooking. There's so many explore new ingredients, and there's so much, new ways of cooking and new methods, and I think we tend to maybe forget some of the old basics that we used to do. I know my family, we love a nice roast chicken, once a week, once every other week. And I know some of you are probably going, well, I know how to roast chicken, everybody does, but do you really? I mean, there's some pretty basic steps to it, and I've noticed more and more that when I talk about it with people, they go, oh, well, I didn't know that, or I didn't think about doing that. So today we're going to, the chicken's already been butterflied. If you watched my meat cutting episode, you'll know how I did that. Normally I like to brine my chicken, but like I said before, everything that I do here is what we're going to eat. Often it's what we're eating for dinner or dessert that night. And I just didn't have time to brine it, so that'll be a different episode. We will do brines at some point in time. But I just think it's a nice, simple meal. Everybody enjoys it, and here's how you do it. So, let's go make a roast chicken. All right, let's start this off with a mirepoix. A mirepoix is carrots, onions, and celery. We're also going to add this lovely, orange bell pepper in with it. There's carrot, celery, and onion, and however much you use really is up to you. One thawed butterflied chicken. Lovely. Now I'm not going to show you guys how to dice up vegetables. You can probably figure that one out on your own. But what I've done here is just put them in the bottom of the roasting pan, just kind of separate it out a little bit so you can see what's what. We're going to use the pre-diced garlic. I like this stuff because it's very handy. It keeps for quite a while, and it's just less mess for me. Now we're going to throw a couple tablespoons of oil in with this and mix. You want a basic even coating on the veg. This is not only important for heat transference, but it also helps the veg itself roast a little bit, giving flavor. Now, starting this off, I'm not going to put any liquid in with the chicken. The liquid's primarily going to come from that veg. So we're going to pull the chicken out here now. The wings, I like to tuck, you can kind of see that one there. I like to tuck the tips up underneath like that. Kind of hard to see with my big arm there in the way, but so that the little skinny tips don't burn. And I like to pull the legs together in the back and take the backbone that I've cut out and lay across to the ends of the legs, also preventing them from overcooking and burning. Now, yes, I forgot to wash my hands before grabbing the oil, but that's right, because I cleaned the whole bottle out just after this. So, a tablespoon or two of oil. It helps not only crisp the skin and transfer heat nicely, but it gives the spices and herbs somewhere to stick to. Now, this is going to go in, I do mine at 3 to 3 1/4 uncovered for an hour and a half to 2 hours. You can do yours lower for longer or higher for not quite as long. It just depends on your oven and how long you want to wait. Now, salt, pepper, and this here is just mixed dried herbs. Kind of like Mrs. Dash, or, it's just along that same line. We like that stuff here. Now, after about 20 minutes, I will check the liquid and see if it needs it and add as needed. You want just a little bit in the bottom. You don't want that to dry out and burn. This is beautiful golden. See how loose the legs are and the wings. You can check with a thermometer. I don't tend to. I've just done it long enough. I know when it's done. Now, after I take the chicken out, I pour the liquid out and separate most of the grease out. And then put it back in with the veg, swirl it around so I can get everything out together. I'm going to put this all in a blender. Now, this is not something you have to do, but we like it. Now, I'm going to blend this up, and one of two things is going to happen. We're either going to use this, I'm either going to add some spices, and we're going to use it, directly as a sauce with the chicken, which is always nice. It's also a great starter for a soup. So the next time I decide to, boil up a chicken and make stock, I'll throw this in as part of my starting liquid. Gives it a nice flavor, and a good starting base. Just blend this up till roughly smooth. It doesn't have to be absolutely pureed. I like mine decently smooth. Now, I'm not going to show you what all I did to this, but I ended up adding a little allspice, a little extra salt and pepper, and a dash of white Worcestershire. And it just made a nice sauce to go with the chicken. I always pour a little bit out just to taste and test, throw a little spice in, see whatever needs to go into it. Took a little bite of it here. It's nice and thick. Yes, sir, that was good. I took some out. We used it for the chicken that night, but I wanted to show you this too. How do you easily store liquid in a bag? Because it's a pain in the butt, right? So I've just taken a big mug that I have had it for years. Nice wooden spoon or whatever to shove it down in there. Just open the plastic bag up over it and fill. This is, I use this for any time I have to put anything close to being liquidy into a plastic bag like this. So I'm just going to seal that up. And I find if you try and freeze these flat, they thaw quicker when they come out, and they thaw a little more evenly. And let's say you go to get it out and you don't have time for it to thaw fully before you need to throw it in the pot. Because it's thinner, you can usually break it easier, fold it or cut it. You want to try and get as much of the air out as you can. Like I say, that's about half of what was in there originally. The rest of it we made for a nice sauce to go with the chicken. It was lovely. So I'm not going to give you serving suggestions. You guys know what you want with roast chicken. But I just thought it would be a nice way to show you, hey, here's another basic food that everybody can enjoy. Now I've got mine out on the cutting board here. I tip it up over the edge of the sink to let any excess juice run off. As far as cutting it up, it's really up to you. You can let it cool down enough to just get your fingers in there and rip it off the bone. You can get you a nice sharp knife. And it was hot. I mean, it was still pretty hot. I just cut it off into quarters. Was having a little trouble there. Don't know why, because I don't normally, but it was very hot. And to grab some tongs there. Fresh chicken out of the oven. Imagine that. Hot. Who'd have thunk it? Like I said, I don't want to reinvent food. I want to make just good food. And this is a really good basic meal. And the great thing about this is it's just 3 of us, so we frequently have leftovers from this, especially the white meat. My wife and daughter are more partial to the dark meat. So the next day, there's a whole breast left. I chop that up, make chicken salad, or just have it on a sandwich by itself. Just move the camera there to give you all a better view. I realized it was probably not the best view in the world. So I just cut the wings off. 1 and 2. They usually come off pretty easy. And that's another, testament to how well the chicken's done. And if you brine a chicken, which we will get into a brine at some point in time, they always just come out juicy, tender, and fall apart. And I just split the breast right down the middle like that. Pull off the meat as needed for that. Well, guys, that's a roast chicken. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it taught you something you didn't know. I really have appreciated all the comments and well wishes. And until next time, enjoy cooking.